Welcome to the Love Beyond Limits podcast, where we celebrate love, intimacy, and everything in between. I am Ameenah Asante,
And I'm Kyla Black.
and together,
We'll explore the realms of relationships, sexuality, and queer experiences.
oh, what fun, what fun. We get to record a session today about our respective work and
Wonderful.
what that looks like in relationship. Like, what is it like to for a licensed clinical social worker and a certified sex therapist, a transformational life coach, human design specialist, intuitive. What does that look like to be in a relationship with each other?
It's a great question, Amina. So glad we get to talk about it today.
I know. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. Let's do it.
Okay, so I'm going to invite you
Mm.
to kick us off and tell us about all those wonderful words you just said that described what you do to give our listeners and viewers an understanding of what is a human design specialist and even what is a transformational life coach and an intuitive.
Absolutely. So I have been a coach for really my whole life. It's one of those things that I didn't know until my 30s that this was a job that people got paid for. And so it's a natural part of me that I've been doing professionally for over a decade that feels really great to support people. And so the transformational portion of my life coaching means that I create experiences, I facilitate processes that allow people to enter into a space, say on a Thursday, and by a Sunday, they've experienced incredibly palpable, tangible change in their life. And it is an honor to do that work. Additionally, I specialize in human design, and many people know what human design is these days, but for those that don't, no worries. Combination of all of these ancient practices like the I Ching, the Jewish Kabbalah, the Tree of Life, the Hindu chakra system, and astrology, and all of these modalities combine together to really get the blueprint of how we're designed to live and how we're designed to be. Really helps you connect with the truest parts of yourself. And then as an intuitive, I've also been feeling into source, into the universe, into just having incredibly impactful downloads for myself since I was a little girl and adding it to my work and seeing how it shows up for my clients. And it really wasn't until I started putting all three of these things together in my day-to-day practice that I really started having the satisfaction, the joy, the the change that my clients were really seeking. So I love it. It's been a lot of fun.
In places I have seen in your maybe earlier website presentation, it might have said psychic intuitive.
Yeah.
And so, do you find that people read that as, oh, you're a psychic, tell me about my future, almost in like a medium or psychic way? And so I noticed you say I'm an intuitive. Is that the same as saying psychic? Is it interchangeable?
That's a great question. So they are interchangeable. I would say that intuitive is a term that I focus most on these days, really because the point of my work and the point of all spiritual work should be to support people to get closer to their own intuition, their own depth in their connection with source. And so by using the title psychic, it creates this distance because people are like, oh, that's not me. I can't possibly be psychic. But even businesses these days are, CEOs are being applauded for being intuitive. And so it creates that connection with others, and people really should understand how truly intuitive we all are.
Yes, especially women. We're
Yeah,
really socialized to not listen to our guts or our
which is
intuitions,
crazy.
and make different choices.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Beautiful. Well, the world is very grateful that you are in it doing the combination of things you do and helping all the people you help, or supporting rather. Amina uses the word support, not help. And
Because
because, I'm going to fail this test. Because you believe people don't necessarily need help. I might be making
yeah.
this up, but because people can benefit from support and guidance to really tap into their own already existing skills and gifts. And you are there to support them to see it.
Look at you. A plus. Gold star, Kyla Black.
I do like being a good student.
You sure do, darling. You sure do. What about you? Tell us about all of the letters behind your name and all the wonderful things you create for the world.
Yes, so I am Kyla E. Black, LCSW-R, CST, which stands for Licensed Clinical Social Worker in the state of New York and a certified sex therapist. And so I graduated with my master's in social work in 2005 and have been doing an array of clinical work since then. So, wow, 20 years, just about. That's wild. Okay. Yes, 20 years doing clinical work. And so, as a clinical social worker, I spent probably the first close to 10 years-ish doing child welfare, mental health, hospital-based, community-based agency, neighborhood foster care, family counseling, preventive services, a lot of trauma-based work, working with a lot of undocumented immigrants around resourcing and community supports, and saw a lot of things and hopefully supported, although some of it was helping and some of it was supporting a lot of people and families. And I had always wanted to do work that was more focused and centered around sexuality and sexual health. And finally, at some point, decided to get do sex therapy training. And it's really a perfect combination of my forever interests of mind-body connection and physical and sexual and mental health and how they intersect, and started a private practice in 2012 and have been my own boss ever since. And I work with individuals and couples, thruples, all the different structured relationships that can be in existence. As a queer therapist, I don't know if it's accurate to say I prefer, but I definitely gravitate toward wanting to work with queer folks and LGBTQIA plus folks and relationships, and also supporting there and being a safe space, especially all the time because people are always potentially facing unsafe spaces somewhere, or the queer and trans community often are somewhere. I'm grateful to be in New York to do this, but now more than ever, safe spaces are paramount. So, yes, so I do, as a sex therapist, I am a psychotherapist, which for some is just a therapist, lots of interchangeable terms. But I tend to focus on a really any and every topic one might think of that has to do with sexual functioning, sexuality, gender, intimacy, relationships is stuff that I have worked with and interfaced in some way. Sexual functioning and dysfunctions, orgasms, arousals, orgasming too quickly, can't orgasm at all, communication around sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, desire discrepancy, not enough sex, too much sex, trauma, sexual pain, all sorts of things. And so, yeah, I seek to support people to find their individual and relational empowerment and hope to be a support and guide in their journey.
It's really powerful. Your extensive history doing this work, what has been the biggest challenge, would you say, over your career?
Mm. As a sex therapist or overall
Let's say,
clinician?
let's say as a sex therapist.
Okay, because there's two different careers, really. As a sex therapist, hmm, I'd say that the bigger challenges can be when I'd say more with couples than individual clients, particularly couples who come to therapy at a time where their relationship is very much on the verge of being done. And whether it's general couples therapy or sex therapy, couples often show up as a last ditch effort. And so at that point, for the relationship to right itself and be forward moving in a renewed way can take a lot of time and effort and work that not everyone always wants to do, even though they decide to try therapy. And also, people often come with a sense of urgency, and it doesn't happen that quickly, particularly if it's gotten to that point. And so, I'd say that can be challenging in how best to support couples when they're at that point. Although I can say that many people come to therapy at that point, and some really just need help breaking up, or almost, what's the word? Permission.
Hmm.
Permission sometimes to identify that they're complete with their relationship and they're ready to start considering next steps. And some, so either way, and I don't come with an agenda. So there to support whatever is wanted.
Yeah.
That's really challenging. And the other thing I would say is really challenging is, and not as in it can't be worked through or I haven't found quote unquote successes with clients in this area, but just for clients who want and desire and are upset about not having, let's say, the kind of sex life or sexual experiences they want, but aren't interested or willing to do the kind of self exploration that might be warranted in order to create the results they want. And so it's just a revolving door of people who might feel really disappointed and frustrated and angry and upset about the lack of the sex they want or the partners they want, but they're not willing to adapt and create and grow in ways that would help them get what they want. So, yeah.
Heard.
How
Heard.
about you? What do you find most challenging?
I would say there's some crossover with our work where, when I support couples, ideally they're best served if we're in the very beginning or like a year or two in. Part of why I love human design so much is because you're able to look at this blueprint of individuals. So I
Hmm.
can see your blueprint, I can see my partner's blueprint and understand them. Then these stories that we can make up in relationships about who people are and like why they do a thing, that over time really end up creating these series of wedges in the relationship. They're so unnecessary. And so being able to connect with these blueprints where you can see yourself and you can see your person, it's just really, really powerful. And so definitely the preference is like at whatever point you find, whether it's, this podcast or this work, like jump in, right? For both of us, jump in.
Absolutely. Yes. Whether you're 1 year in or 21 years in, and you arrive at a point where you recognize that additional support could be helpful for your relationship, great. Like it's
Totally.
in many cases, I think it's never too late to at least try.
Yes,
No guarantee on
absolutely.
outcome, but certainly doing nothing will guarantee likelier that there'll be nothing
Yes,
versus doing something.
exactly. So, for you, what has been your experience being in relationship with me and the work that I do? Because I know that at every moment, at any time, there could be some reference to human design or something related to my work because I sleep, breathe, eat my work.
Indeed.
Literally.
Well, that was going to be part of my response is that at any given point of any conversation, there can be a
Yeah.
reference to a gate, a channel, a center, all of which is jargon for people who don't know what human design is. But rest assured, I also didn't know what human design was until a couple years ago. Had never heard of it ever before. So it was brand new to me in every possible way. But now I understand it a lot more. And I understand still way less than more because there's so much to learn and understand about it. It can go to a lot of depth. But my experience of being in relationship with you in your work, is multifold, right? And in that I had the opportunity to actually be some kind of student of yours when I was able to join the group that you created and the program you created, Blueprint Mastermind, and first do the 3-day Soul Blueprint workshop, which then led into a more weekly group, coaching really group using human design. And we did that for what it was supposed to be 8 months and then 12 and then 15, something like that. I think it turned out to be 15 months or so for our group. But in that, it was, I mean, I don't really tend to say things are life changing, but I would say that there's a lot I learned in that experience and was affirmed, kind of what we were saying in the beginning, like things I already knew about myself that became more clear and strong, and I could stand on solid ground around versus just being in a questioning space. And I think that the experience of being in the group at the time that I went through it was really, offered me so much clarity around many different categories of my life that really propelled me to make big decisions as a result. So I would say that it played a role in changing some directions in my life that for all the tears I shed, I would never change a thing. Right? So from a place of being on the receiving end of what you created, which is so beautiful and impactful, to just our everyday conversations, which, sometimes I have no idea what you're talking about, but that's okay because I don't need to understand everything you say.
But
But
I explain it, do I not?
you do usually explain it, yes. No, you do explain it. But yeah, I think my experience of relationship is it's part of how you, like you said, you eat, breathe, and sleep this, and it shows up in how you look at people, understand people, assess interactions in a split second, and oh, I wonder what their chart is. Oh, I bet they're this or they're this. And I find that I have also started to do that and be curious. And yeah, just when in terms of understanding people. So I
Yeah.
think that's cool.
Well, and that's really the point of the work. The the human design system is designed to be a system that evaluates and informs your entire life, right? And being the investigator that I am, it's necessary for me to like embody my experience of information. And so by I'm not always looking for some kind of human design connection. I don't need to like insert it in every circumstance. However, when it shows up, it shows up. And it compounds my learning, and it really is the thing that has made me incredibly good at what I do. Like, I know that to be true for myself, and the reason why I jumped at the opportunities to, to learn it and start using it with my clients because it spoke to me.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, it's not just for funsies.
Right. It's not just, let me pull your star chart.
Right,
Right.
right. I like the point of the work is to change your life and have us move through the world with less resistance and
Mm-hmm.
more connection to who we are, to affirm ourselves, to affirm each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's the point. So, yeah. Yeah. I would say for you being in relationship with a therapist and sex therapist at that, it's
You wonder if
it's
I'm always diagnosing you.
I actually have never wondered if you were diagnosing
Aw,
me.
that's so great. Everyone else I've been in a relationship with has assumed I was constantly diagnosing them, but they weren't wrong because there were things to diagnose. So,
Yeah, the thought has never crossed my mind. But I love the wisdom that your work brings, and to be able to have a certain level of conversation with someone who has not only studied but decided to be a better person as a result. Like, this isn't just your profession. This is, I am committed to certain values and I want to live a life that, embodies these values. And so I really, really respect it. And it feels damn good to be able to have certain conversations,
hmm.
higher level, emotional intelligence, higher thinking, to be able to communicate and process through things together.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's invaluable. I
Hmm.
truly, truly regard that so
Yeah.
highly.
Yeah, I think our relationship has become as connected and deep as it has become because we are both relational thinkers and beers. It's sort of how we be, is we be in relation with people, and we are innately and then therefore professionally
Yeah,
very tuned into how people interact, and whether it's friendship or family or intimate relationships, of just having a certain eye to make sense of it and understand it and want to, I mean, the professions that have called us and that we have called upon, right, speak to our desire to support people to grow. And if it's change, it's change. But for me, at least, grow and expand and learn and have more options on a menu, whether it's a sexual activity menu or a how to communicate to my partner what I want menu, or a feelings wheel to have more vocabulary for emotions. But whatever it is, it seeks to expand one's experience, right? And understand it and make sense of it. And as evidenced by our impressive record of 3 to 4 hour conversations, there's a lot that we are willing to look at and process and talk through.
yeah,
And even though it can be challenging sometimes, I think it reliably deepens our understanding of each other and of relationships in general. I mean, we are a live lab doing it all the time and learning constantly.
indeed, indeed. I completely agree. What is something that we do as a result of our professions that like it's like most notable? Like, what's something that, is there any kind of like language or like quirkiness that we do?
Hmm. Huh. The thing that comes to mind, and I don't know if it actually is why, but we certainly like to give things names.
Oh, yes.
And abbreviations and acronyms and letters and words. And I think that that does speak to certain parts of our brains
Mm-hmm.
and in our work, right? Of just naming. It's like naming feelings, identifying what the things are, calling them out, giving them a context, giving them a framework. And I think that gives us also a way to work through the things that are hard
Yeah.
when they're challenging, or, oh, this is the dance that we're in right now, and this is what comes up for you, and this is what comes up for me, and it's super serious, but now we can talk about it, and then now we'll give it a name, like a pet name,
Yes.
which actually softens the experience
Yeah.
already because we're acknowledging it, we're not critiquing it or shaming it. It's like, this happened and that sucked, but probably this will happen again. So let's
Yeah.
just embrace it and we'll
Yeah.
give it a sweet little name and then we know it's happening again. So,
Case in point.
case in point.
Case in
Happened
point.
earlier this morning. Yes.
Yeah, just an hour ago, we had, some things that needed to be processed and, some not so happy faces. And then within 10, 15 minutes, transitioned into, connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Miraculous.
It
Sometimes.
is really miraculous. Like I am impressed with us over and over again, truly.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. What about you? Any quirks or other things you would add?
I don't know if it's like I don't think it's the combined, but I appreciate the ways in which you almost like let me be with you in in certain ways around like what I see. And so, like, for example, like when you're processing things and it's going in a particular direction, I think within our first year together, I started calling them train tracks. And, like, oh, there are
Hmm.
your train tracks. It kind of goes back to the naming thing. But, like,
Hmm.
when to be able to be safe enough in relationship to speak to our individual needs and quirks
Hmm.
and just create that safe container. I really love it.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I I wonder how much of what we do would be the same or different based on our long distance status. And I don't know that there's a way to know that either
Totally.
way, but because so much of our relationship does not exist in person, I wonder if that has also had us kind of have to come up with other ways to understand the dynamics between us. And so much of it is not three-dimensional in a way, right? And so we're not able to sit with each other in person and soften a moment or reach out for the other one or have nonverbal empathy or something that can communicate something that we're dependent on words so much more, I think,
Hmm.
because it's long distance and virtual so much of the time.
Yeah, I think that's a major point. We have the experience of each other in person, and I think we would be doing a lot less talking and more just simply being with each other.
I can't believe I would say that I actually wish for that sometimes because I always thought I needed to talk so much, but it's all relative.
Oh my
But you
gosh.
can out-talk me, girl. It's impressive.
I don't know that that's true. I think if
I
we
know, but it is. You, with your not defined throat, you can definitely out-talk me.
look at you, look at you. I
I'll be
know I
the
can
side
out
term.
I know I can out talk you in a time frame, but collectively I think you've got me like 2 to 1 for our whole relationship.
Whatever. We're not going to do a word count.
3/5 of the time. Oh my gosh. Uh, Before we close, I thought it'd be a really good idea that we talk about what we do together and how we support couples with our work and individuals.
And
Yeah,
you mean professionally what we do together.
perfect. What do we do professionally? I do mean that.
Well, professionally, we are gearing up to do our first retreat together.
Yes.
That will
Yes.
be exciting. It's called the Love and Sex Retreat.
Love and Sex in the City.
See, still learning. Love and Sex in the City, SIDDHI, not
Mm-hmm.
New York City.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it will be a 3 to 4 day experience.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm gonna turn that over to you so that I'm not describing it with question marks because
All good, darling.
it
All
rolls off
good.
your tongue more easily.
Yeah, so Love and Sex in the City. This will be the second time that this retreat will be done. However, it's be the first time with Kyla and I together. As I facilitated the first one, I'm like, my girlfriend's a sex therapist. Why would she not be a part of us co-creating this work? And so
Truth.
here she is, yes, going to be contributing,
Mm-hmm.
and us as co-facilitators really supporting people, whether or not they're singles or couples, to understand the deepest core parts of themselves with relationship in mind, right? What are the patterns that you have really been in since you were young, and where did they come from? And the where did they come from is really, really cool to explore.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things that once you understand this part of you, you relationship differently, right?
Mm-hmm.
You truly show up differently. These core wounds that have been present, and how to be with them, and how to give them the love and the support that they need, so that when you do come into romantic partnership, you are so much better because you're so much more aware.
Well said.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And I think that this retreat is open to all people, regardless of relationship status, with the partner, and you can come with a partner if you have one, you can come on your own, whatever the case is. We've also been in conversations around creating a brand new couples retreat. And then, which may be queer couples only, maybe mixed, both and also where we get to collaborate is in our day-to-day, just more micro work, where I have clients, you have clients, and maybe it's a couple, right? And that they get to do work with both of us and have maybe their couples work with you enhanced with me, and or their couples sexuality based work enhanced with you through the lens of human design. So I
Indeed.
think we have a lot of potential and possibility to join our forces to make some explosive relational change in the world.
Yes. Keyword explosive. Yes, darling. Love it. This has been so fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love us, and I love our work, and we love people. And so just being able to support you, listener, with your life experiences, that's the point. And
Mm-hmm.
how to I use the phrasing in my work, how to love
Mm-hmm.
better. So
That's nice.
thanks,
It's
babe.
sweet.
Well, until next episode, this has been great.
This has been great. Thanks for being here with us.
Yes. See you soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Thanks for joining us on the Love Beyond Limits podcast. If you enjoyed our conversation, please feel free to subscribe and stay tuned for more episodes.
Be sure to follow us and join us next time.
I might you. And I have to pay.
Okay, we gotta do it. We gotta do it. Be sure to follow us and join us next time as we continue to break boundaries and celebrate love in all its forms.